what do I do to make sure that I like myself within this? Like, what do I have to do to make sure that I'm the coolest, most relaxed, sexiest, happiest version of me?
Episode of Girls Gotta Eat.
Rayna's birthday week.
Bow, bow, bow.
We're recording the day before your birthday.
Well, I guess technically when this comes out,
yeah, it'll be after your birthday, but still, it's still like within the week.
Mm-hmm. We're on a boat tomorrow because we're never not on a boat.
That's our tradition.
People act like I'm so crazy for always wanting to be on a boat. What do you want to do? Be on a dusty bar?
There's nothing wrong with a dusty bar, but I mean, they're accessible. I mean, like last year that boat was dusty and it was cheap and it was amazing.
No, I doubled the price this year on the boat and there's half as many people coming.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like if you don't have to go that hard, like you can, like people are like, oh my God, how did you jet ski in the Hudson? I'm like, I just booked it through the company.
Just Google it.
Yeah, just Google it. Like it's not anybody. I mean, yeah, it costs money, but it's not so exclusive. It's not like flying private.
No,
you too can take a boat out. And there's also like, remember we took that lobster boat? That was just like a ticketed, like there's always like experiences that are just like the same price as like going to dinner.
Do you remember back in the day when we used to like record all day together and then go socialize alone together? Just couldn't wait to hang out. We went on that lobster boat alone. Now
yeah, that lobster boat, the North River Lobster Company. I think it's like $10. But I just think it's funny when people are like, oh my God, like a boat in New York. It's like, we live on an island. I'm finally going to address my hydration journey today.
That's really why we're going on a boat for my birthday, so she can be one with the water.
Oh, wait, am I a water sign? I am, right? Yeah, Cancer's a water sign. You know what? I was just going to bring it back to me and Cancer season, but it's still Gemini season. And that wasn't fair.
I wasn't trolled yet. By Cancer season, we're on the precipice.
Well, someone sent me this great reel that broke down when you're born within Cancer. Okay. And it was so accurate because I'm a Scorpio Cancer.
Oh, like is it
like the end of June?
Rising moon?
Like
like that?
Just when you're born, like the end of June Cancers, July 1st to the 10th Cancers, and then the next third after that. And it was like really accurate as like so hardworking, super hot. But it's like I am, I'm Scorpio rising. But anyway, okay. So listen, guys, here's how to get on a boat.
Oh yeah. So here's that. So Ashley actually found this last year and we didn't end up using it. And so it's called Classic Harbor Line. And I'm looking at their website. I guess they're in Boston and Key West and New York and Newport, Rhode Island. Some of my favorite places. They cater it. There's a bar. Adam there. Shout out to Adam. He had his son's graduation he had to run to, but he booked it all for me really quickly. And it's great if you guys want to go on a boat.
Yeah, there's tons of different companies. Obviously, that's a good one. And there's just a great way if you want to get on a boat is just Airbnb experiences. I love them. Like when we were in Sydney, we went on that boat, like a private boat. You can look up like Airbnb experiences, like Google Sunset Cruises. Like there's a great company in Key West I know of that called like Danger Charters or something that does like a sailboat at sunset. I saw my brother and Steph did it for their honeymoon. Okay, so we have such a great episode today with Shan, part 2. I loved it. What we ended up talking about was not exactly what I expected. This whole like fuck buddy thing, and she's just so wonderful. We're so obsessed with her, and we got to know her on the first episode, and this is a more like deep diving on some of these topics that are so great. You guys are gonna love it. The whole time we were recording with her, I was just dying. It was so good.
Yeah, I love her. I recorded with her this week. You've been on her show as well. So you can both listen to me and Ashley on her show. But she's such a phenomenal guest and really just so well spoken. We're obsessed with her. You guys are gonna love her.
Yeah.
So a recent development is that I realized that my ex and I got the same tattoo within 5 days of each other.
Oh my God.
I can't believe this happened. I have like 20 tattoos. Not that crazy. Like I would get the same tattoo as somebody because it's a smiley face. Like that is not a unique tattoo. But the fact that this person who like has almost no tattoos got this tattoo and did it first.
Yeah.
And then I copied him is so embarrassing. So I just thought it was like really funny. I've been really in my tattoo game lately. I've been getting a lot. I'm going to keep getting more. I have more in the bank. I don't know. I'll fill it up. We'll see what happens. But it was just this like crazy coincidence. We were like in the car. I don't really look at any of my exes that much on social media. And I was like, Ashley, can you look him up? And we like were deep diving and we found out that I got the same tattoo as him.
There is nothing I love more than someone assigning a stalking mission to me. They're like, can you get in there? I'm like, yes. I
It's
would
a dream.
be honored to do it.
I mean, you guys know we say all the time, I stalk Ashley's exes way more than Ashley does. I'm in there all the time in these streets.
I know.
You sent me this thing about this guy the other day and his girlfriend, and I switched to my Finsta and I got into her stuff.
I know. Yes. So I have been on this hydration journey, you guys. I would love to talk about it. So I feel like everybody, we can always be more hydrated. I would consider myself, prior to really like committing to drinking more water, I was like a person that drank a ton of water. I've never in my life, besides one night in Mexico City, which was like I was in panic mode, gone to sleep without a glass of water by my bed. I can't even fathom it. I can't even imagine it, going to bed without water. I think I drink more water than the average person, but I was like, I want to drink more water. Bella really inspired me. She has this giant water bottle.
I hate it so much.
And it's always in the way. We'll talk about it on Bella's episode, which is coming very soon. So I was like, I'm going to get a big water bottle like that and just commit to like drinking more. I'm not up to like a gallon, but it has like changed my life. Like when I asked Bella about her hydration journey, she was like, I just wake up easier. I just feel better throughout the day. Like we've been going so hard and I like haven't been getting sick. I haven't been feeling, I mean, I'll get tired here and there, but I haven't been feeling as run down. I said, I feel like my vagina's wetter. I just feel like have more energy. I feel like I look better. I'm like, why does my skin look better? Like I just feel so good. This isn't like a hot take, but I, again, thought I was a hydrated person before and just took it to the next level. And I'm a person that carries around a giant water bottle now. So drink more water, you guys. And we have a water sponsor today. I didn't even plan this. I can't, we just wait till I get to talk about liquid death. Just wait.
I also think we've just been drinking less alcohol and you added in your hydration journey.
I mean, I barely drink is what it is. I'm just going to come out and say it. Like the last time I had like a mild hangover was March.
March?
Bobby and Izzy's engagement thing.
Okay.
Stuff that I'm doing that I would have drank more at. I just don't, I'm not into it.
I know. I'm slowly not into it as much either. You know, I'm on my jawline journey. I'm trying to get a jawline. And so I've been drinking the same amount of water, but drinking less alcohol. I mean, you didn't have as much to back down from as I did. I'm a 5 nights a week.
I'm like always
alone person.
I've been a moderate drinker for a long time now, but I mean, a few times earlier in the year where I was like, I just hate feeling like this.
Yep.
I'm still drinking. I still have drinks. I just don't like go hard. I mean, we were at a friend's house all day on Saturday. I feel like I just drink slower than everybody.
I'm up later for longer without alcohol. Like at that dinner, I stopped drinking and we were like up for like 4 more hours. I feel like my body like processes it. It's not like a hot take, you guys, but I feel like I haven't been getting hangovers as much or at all, really.
I feel like hangover, I don't even know her. It has been so long. Like, I'm just saying, I feel great.
I feel great too. We're killing it.
Yeah.
No hangovers. Like I'm not having conversations I don't remember.
Yeah, I still love a rosé, love a margarita. It's just like, I'm usually having like 1 or 2 and that's that. Had a Jell-O shot in Dewey. Okay, so we, as far as like what's going on in our lives, it's the company. So we're not gonna deep dive on vibes, but we have some things we wanted to cover. But before that, we haven't talked about watching TV in weeks. I don't even know if you've been watching anything.
I haven't been fucking. It's all
all we do is run this company.
I'm under maintenance. I'm under self-care maintenance. I've been getting manicures, microblading, keratin treatment. I'm not fucking. I'm doing all the maintenance, and then I'm watching TV at night.
What are you watching?
3 things. I have reignited Schitt's Creek.
What?
I watched it during COVID, and I felt like I don't care about this. I liked the characters, but I felt like I don't care that much. Hot take, Schitt's Creek. But I'm rewatching it. I'm like in love with it.
You are?
Yeah. I'm obsessed with it.
It's my mom's favorite show.
I know it is. And your mom told me it was her favorite show, and she was so sad when the season finale happened. And so I'm really enjoying it the second time around because COVID Rayna, I don't know who she was. George, stop trying to have sex with Azul.
He's out of control.
Yesterday he came in here.
All he
Azul
does
walked in. George ran headfirst into my leg trying to get to Azul.
All he does, I think people probably heard me just say that and they were like, wow, Ashley, that was a stern tone. But all he does is lick Azul's face and Azul doesn't like it. And his nose is chapped. Like he doesn't want it right now.
George stays trying to have sex with Azul. Azul cannot be bought. Actually, he knocked me off my feet yesterday. He ran so fast into my leg.
George's tongue get tired? All he does is lick Azul.
No, can you see George just like practicing at night? Like, I'm going to see Azul tomorrow, working that tongue out. Gotta get those reps in.
If George was a guy, it would be a dream. Just never gets tired of licking.
So my Schitt's Creek journey has been like, I couldn't get so into it, but the characters are my favorite. I mean, Daniel Levy, the son, Eugene and Daniel Levy, I mean, is just my favorite.
And you know, Twyla, that's Daniel Lee, that's Eugene's
yes.
daughter. So that was my disconnect with the show, is I was obsessed with every single character. I think it's the most brilliant characters ever written. And I feel like I don't care about this show.
And Catherine O'Hara.
Yes, she's phenomenal. And I feel like I don't care about the show. Now I care about it again. I care about it now. And so I'm watching that. Stay Sweet, Pray and Obey.
Oh my gosh, everybody's talking about this.
So
is it fucked up?
I mean, listen, you know me, I know everything about cults.
Just FYI, you guys, one day we are going to have a cult. No, I'm not even going to say it because somebody will steal our pitch. Catch us on Netflix. When we do another thing. When we do another thing.
So I can have
we don't have enough. We don't have enough on our plate.
I go to sleep every night with so many text messages between you and me and the people we work with, and I wake up to a billion of them too. It never sleeps.
It feels
abusive.
It feels abusive. It feels, I feel underwater. People are like, how's it going? I'm like, I just have been unloading on people. Like I was with Katie Storino yesterday, Mega Babe, her company at their 5-year anniversary. And then Jilly Hendricks, who you guys might know, she started a vodka company. But I mean, we're just sitting around talking. I was like, it's so cool to be around like female founders. And we're talking about all this stuff. But meanwhile, we're just like, I want to die. This is so hard. Like Katie was like, yeah, bitch, it's fucking hard.
It's fucking hard. I go to bed every night. You and the other people we work with are up so much later than me. Like I try to draw a boundary at 9 p.m. And I just like, I'm like, I don't want to lean into this. I don't want to do any more work. I deserve a couple hours to myself. But you guys are up all night. So I'm like, well, you guys are working. I have to be like listening to this. So like I wake up to a million texts and then you wake up to a million texts. I wake up in the morning and get in there.
I know. It's just, we'll get through this. It's just, it feels really overwhelming right now. Like, because it's like vibes, girls got to eat. And then I'm also doing stand up. It feels like pretty unmanageable, but I mean, we're just trying to self-care, but we need to talk about the cults. I don't know how we went down this road. We're just spiraling and we're unloading on you guys, and this is what you get. You're part of the family, but
I'm also a whole year older tomorrow. I've been spiraling about that this morning.
Yeah, I'm older than you. Don't even.
I know. I knew I wasn't going to have a sympathetic ear to this one.
But like, I was watching TV. I'll talk about it. All American is back. And I took like one episode where I just watched, I had my phone in the other room and I was like, this feels so nice. It feels so nice.
I know. Once in a
little
while.
dark chocolate. A little treat of myself.
You got to do it. Sometimes you got to put the phone down for like 20 minutes, girl. It feels so good.
Okay, so this, what I've been hearing about this. Everybody's talking about it. This cult doc.
It's about Warren Jeffs. It's not a cult. I mean, it's about the FLDS, which is a religion. It's an extremist sect of Christianity.
Oh, this is not that doctor that impregnated all those
women? Is the other one I've been watching, Our Father. So there's two really fucked up docuseries on Netflix, and that's what I'm watching before I go to sleep at night to just like unwind. Just like abusive children and women. So Stay Sweet, Pray and Obey is about like Warren Jeffs and this, I mean, it's not a cult, it's a religious sect, but cult-like. And I mean, the leaders of this church were saying they're like prophets and they're 85 years old marrying 16-year-old girls.
Oh my God.
Horrifying, the abuse of women and children. So it's not a secret. You can Google it. I mean, there's tons of information about it. But if you guys are into cults and religious abuse, it's a sad watch, but very interesting. And then Our Father is also Netflix about that doctor that he was doing like artificial insemination of women, and he was using his sperm, so he impregnated dozens and dozens of women.
Oh my God.
That's where I'm at.
I've been on the lighter side.
Oh God.
So
so
All
lucky.
American is back. I didn't even know. Jackie and Meryl fired up the group chat to talk about it. So season 4 is back on Netflix. So it was on CW before, but it's on Netflix. So I've been diving into that. You know, they give us seasons with like 50 episodes. It's such a dream. So I'm really loving it. And then Hacks season 2.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, which Rayna doesn't love Hacks as much as me. During that period of time, Rayna was like White Lotus and I was like Hacks. But I love it so much. I laugh out loud a lot. I love it so much. And you know, I love Vegas now.
I wish you guys should have seen the way she moved her body when she's like, Rayna's like White Lotus. And I'm like, Hacks.
We both loved it, but you were more into White Lotus. I was more into Hacks. But it surprises me. I love shows that are so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. I love the characters. I love the comedy. I'm really, really into Hacks.
Oh, I loved it. I think it's a really smart show. The Watch is great. The Watch is great. It's a great watch. And I'll definitely watch season 2. Okay. I forgot about that.
But those are, I mean, I still have so much left of All American. It's crazy how much.
I gotta get in there.
Do you watch that though?
I've never seen it.
Oh,
what's it about?
Oh my God. No, we're not. No, that's an insult to me. I've only talked about it. I talked about it for a month straight. What's it about? Fuck you. Oh my God. Okay, so listen, we're just gonna do a quick.
He said, "Fuck you." I think that is the only time in 4.5 years you said that to me on the show. Maybe once ever in person, never on the show.
I don't say it seriously. Oh my God.
Birthday.
It's your birthday. So we're gonna do a quick vibe check. Rayna, I have to tell you something so funny that happened. So at this point in my life, there's just vibrators out all the time because I'm having to like do stuff with them. I'm masturbating. Yeah, I'm masturbating with them, but no big secret there. But I have to like, program them and do all this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, product test. So I don't know what happened. I was doing something with one of the stories. I was checking out, like I was DJing it basically. I was setting up the automatic vibes for it. We'll dive into that a little bit more. We know you guys have some questions. And I don't think I left it on when I left the house, but I came home. It was bouncing around on the floor. Like it was a fucking Roomba. I was like, what is this? Like to walk in, I was like, what is happening? It was all dusty, covered in Azul's hair, just bouncing around on the floor.
Which vibrator?
My Ashley.
The Ashley one, like a mic, just bouncing all
going
mic
crazy.
drop. That is so funny.
It
How
was
long
very
were you
funny.
gone?
And I don't even remember what I did, but I was on the phone with somebody and I was like, hold on a second. I have to turn my vibrator off. It's just bouncing around. It was under the kitchen table. It was like moving
It's
around.
a testament to how long it stays charged and how powerful it is, guys.
Yes. I just thought that was like so funny.
Roomba
I
vibrator.
really had to
It's just so
wipe
funny.
that down.
It
It's just
looks like
Azul's hair just covered.
Well, it looks like a microphone. It's the funniest mic drop.
Which means at some point it threw itself off the table. Like
It flung
it
itself.
flung itself off the table. Azul's in the home. Azul was probably freaked out. Like he was like curled up on the couch while the vibrator's just going on the floor.
Funny. So we launched the Vibes Only app. We are so excited. You guys have been downloading it like crazy. Thank you. Keep doing it. Something to clarify. You don't need the toys for the app or the app for the toys, but we designed them to go together. So you can use them individually. Of course, they're both unbelievable, but we designed them to use together. The experience together is what you really want because the stories, the erotic audio power your vibe. So we'll explain that a little bit more.
So the best example I can give is Peloton. So you have your Peloton bike and you have your Peloton app that's also on your screen when you're riding the bike. I can ride my Peloton bike without watching a class. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can hop on it right now and ride it. I can turn the resistance up. I can do whatever I want. I can put in my AirPods and just ride right now. So they're two separate products essentially. Like there is the app and there is the device. You buy the device, then you pay for the app, but they are designed to go together. So of course, you guys, we would never sold you vibrators that you would get and be like, surprise, you can't use it. Like you can use it. There's different intensities. There's different patterns. You can use it in manual mode, all you want. Obviously, if you guys have gotten yours, you know that. And then you can get into that app and you can listen to the erotic stories. You can watch the videos, of course, but they are designed to go together. It is a paid app. The subscription is separate. So it's premium content. It took a year to build. We put tons of money and blood, sweat, and tears into this. So it's lower price than others of its kind, as are the toys. We want to keep the cost down as much as we could, but the app is designed to be, a premium experience. There's so much in there and it's only going to get better. We know that you guys want to have long distance with the remote control. Like if you're in a long distance relationship, your partner can control your vibe from across the country. We're working on it. We see you and we hear you. But for people that have asking, yes, you buy the vibrator and then you purchase the app separately. But again, you don't have to.
Yeah.
We prefer it. That's the premier experience. But of course, if you're like, I don't know, I just fucking like to use my fingers, go off, get in there and, listen to these stories.
Yes.
That way.
And we have designed so many stories for you guys. So first of all, download the app. There's a 3-day free trial when you sign up for a year. So you can get in there, check out the entire app, all the content. There's so many fun videos, but most importantly, there's erotic audio stories. So they basically talk dirty to you while you are masturbating. And Ashley can explain a little bit how this all connects together, but I'll just tell you some of my favorite fantasies in here. Your massage gets sexual. So essentially the masseuse is talking to you and it gets sexier throughout and you can like be the main character of this and talk back if you want to. I love talking while I masturbate. It's so fun. We have your training session get steamy. So maybe you've ever had like a trainer you thought was really sexy. He's going to like walk you through the experience and get really naughty. We have girl on girl, which I love as well. Like a girl's trip gets steamy. So really so many incredible fantasies we put in here, and every week we're going to keep adding.
Yep. So you choose one. The interface is very easy. There's categories. We've broken them down into our favorites. You're going to see what's hot and new. And then you just choose one. You click on the congressman, for example, and immediately when you click on it, you'll get a prompt that says, do you want to connect your vibe? If you don't have one, you can dismiss that very easily. But if you have one, you will turn your vibe on. It recognizes it right away. It'll say Ashley vibe or Rayna vibe or Gigi vibe. And so quick, it will connect, right? Then you hit play on the story and the vibrator is pulsing along with the story. So the story starts out kind of slow. The vibrator starts out kind of slow. The story picks up. The vibrator picks up. If the story gets hot, your vibrator's heating up. You know, you're on a horse. It's going to feel like you're riding a horse. Like, we've designed these. They're automatic. So, you know, we just want to really break it down and make it as simple as possible, that we have curated this experience. And if you feel like that's not for you, whether it's not intense enough or it's too intense, you can use the remote control. You'll see 2 buttons when you're playing the story. Switch over to the remote control, easy switch, then you're in the remote control. Or if you're like, I don't want any of this, I just want to do it manually and listen to the stories and do my own thing, you can do that too. But the premier way to use the app is obviously to listen to one of these erotic audio experiences with the curated vibrations. For an example, I just want to read this DM that we got, all caps. Holy fucking shit. Just tried my Rayna with the flight delay fling. That's one of the stories, the flight delay. My world will never be the same. I tried audio porn before and couldn't get into it, but this with the auto control, oh my God, you girls have totally outdone yourselves. Keep up the great work. Haha, seriously though. I mean, people are going crazy. Like, they're not going to work. Like, someone's like, I had 8 orgasms today. I listened to The Gardener.
She's like, I just live here now.
Yeah, like, it's really like, it's so special, and that's what we designed it to do.
Yes, and a perfect example of like how these are great separately but designed to be together is like the toys are incredible. They are my favorite toys. I have dozens of sex toys at home. They are my favorite toys I've ever
100%.
had. And the app is incredible as well, because when you connect to the toy, which is already great, it will unlock more patterns and intensities for you within the controller. So no, you absolutely don't need the controller to use this, but you can go up and down in intensities with just your thumb while you masturbate. I can't stress this enough. I'm the laziest masturbator on earth, and it just makes my vibrator even better, and I have to do even less work.
Yeah, it's perfect. And, you know, we designed this with the focus being this content, which is kind of the premiere experience. And then we added into that this video component, and then we added into that the remote control. That's just like an extra. So our goal was never like, let's create a Bluetooth remote control and charge people for it. It was like, let's give people an insane, custom, exclusive, high quality, premium, erotic, orgasmic rocket ship experience. So that's what you're getting. That's what you're paying for. We hope that you guys will use them together. But a lot of you have been asking, so we just wanted to like really break it down and really break down how you use it. And we're going to continue to teach you guys about this. We know, Rayna and I are really close to it. We built this company. So when people have questions, they're confused how to do stuff, we want to break it down for you guys. Another thing too, someone messaged about the favorites. She was like, you guys should really do favorites. I was like, bitch, we do. So when you click on the story to listen to it, you can just heart it, and that will go into your favorites, and your favorites can be found in settings. So your little gear at the top, like any other app, you're going to go to settings, you're going to see favorites, and then that's where you can just keep track of your whole spank bank and go back to your favorites.
Yes. And then I just want to like wrap up by saying, we hear you guys. We've gotten your messages about the Rayna. They are currently out of stock. We have more on the way, but we also have the Ashley one and the Gigi Panty Vibe, both unbelievable vibrators that both pair great with the app. And we have more coming.
Yeah, more coming. You can, when you go to the website, you can click to be notified when we get those more in. And so now we know which ones are hot, and we don't ever want to run out of what you guys want again. The lube and the blow gels are going quick, but we have more of those coming as well. You can still get them as of right now. So
we're going to taste test some flavors.
Yes,
of blow gel
today we have
this.
like 50 new flavors to taste test. So there will be more of that. We have some holiday, some seasonal.
I'm going to make Ashley suck them off my fingers.
Oh my God. We have some seasonal flavors coming. Well, again, if you guys feel like you have burning questions that we haven't explained, let us know. We want to make sure you guys really have all the information here. Okay,
guys, we are so excited to have a returning guest with us today. She is a certified sex educator, dating coach, and a relationship expert with over 70 million YouTube views and 15 years of experience. She is the best-selling author of The Game of Desire, a sex and relationship expert on Peacock's new dating show, X-Rated, and a workshop facilitator on Netflix, Too Hot to Handle. She is the host of the podcast Lovers and Friends. She is a guest that makes me feel super lazy. She only comes on the show when she's pregnant. That's why it's been 2 years. We've been waiting for her. Welcome back to the show, Shan Boodram.
Thank you. Okay, don't even tell me that I make you feel lazy, because what you just told me makes me feel like, what do I do? Anything? You're doing all the things. I'm so proud and in awe of you. I love watching it from afar because you guys refuse to get close to me. But nonetheless, you're my joy, and thank you for having me again.
So Shan, we were thinking of moving to LA. Shan has convinced us wholeheartedly. You pulled up in the Zoom. Why do I say that? You pulled up, you rolled up, and I was like,
up in the Zoom.
I was like, oh, she has a green screen on. And you're like, no, this is real life. So we're going to be in LA. We're going to be real life friends. You're not going to be able to get rid of us. But yeah, I've just said, like, you're always getting pregnant. You're always, you're always busy getting pregnant. We haven't been able to nail down any quality time with you. So now you have 2 new babysitters.
And I guess quality time for you guys must include like eating sushi and drinking whiskey, because I can't do those things. I'm not invited. And going to tanning beds.
Yes. Like Rayna and I always, like, we get our French tips and then we go to the tanning bed and then we go out for sushi and whiskey. And like, we're always like, I wish Shan was here, but she can't.
But she's pregnant.
Huh? Yeah. We ride roller coasters and we do all this stuff that you're not supposed to do.
That was quick. You rounded off so many things you can't do when you're pregnant.
How are you feeling? This is baby number 2.
I'm feeling tired. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
And my pet peeve is when I say that, and then like some 22-year-old is like, yeah, me too. I'm like, no, I'm not like I was up late last night having sex and then I irresponsibly didn't go to bed in time enough to get enough rest for work. I'm like, literally, my soul, my dreams, my hopes are tired.
Yeah.
But I also just got over COVID too. So I think it's like the pregnancy plus raising a toddler plus COVID, everything is just tired. But we get through it. We here.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you really do.
Rayna's yawning. I'm going to be yawning.
I'm off my blood pressure meds today. Shan's like, my life isn't stressful enough. I think I'm going to get COVID also.
I know. My gosh.
You speak on so many different topics about sex and dating. It was hard to like narrow it down. We're going to do a lot of sex stuff today.
I love a lot of sex stuff.
And we really like, but last time, if you guys are listening, like listen to Shan's episode previously, we still reference it of like this being in the driver's seat of your dating life. Like, why should you be in the back seat, be in the passenger side? I'll just rattle off more places you can sit in a car, but
why should you be in the trunk? Maybe you have a weird kink.
But it's like really, I don't want to be too dramatic, but I feel like it changed my life. Like it changed the way I thought of things, like figure out what you want and how to get it instead of like sitting back and waiting for it to happen to you. Cause that's not how we act in any other area of our life besides our dating life.
Yes. And you also open your book with, and I know this is years ago, so I won't hammer it, but about like what to talk about on a date and what to wear and where to go on the date. And I think that we've talked about this on the show before, but like we put so much energy and effort into like getting a job. Like, why don't we put so much energy into who we're dating and being in the driver's seat, as Ashley said?
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I have the nickname amongst my friends as being Shanbot because I approach everything with like a system and a strategy. And we were talking about that in terms of friends, benefits, and fuck buddies. Like I, again, like had like a system and a strategy. So I found that in this space is kind of the thing that's missing. Like if I want to know how to make rice, I can go online and get the step-by-step guide. I know what rice to buy. I know what kind of water I should best use, what kind of pot, like I can get all of the tools. So I clearly understand like the process to getting the end product I want. But then when it comes to dating and sex, it's very vague advice. And so that's a gap that I wanted to fill in the market because I'm the kind of person who likes strategy. And I hope that there's a lot of other nerds out there who enjoy the same thing. And if so, that's who my book is for.
Yeah, you're such a nerd, Shan.
Yeah.
Well,
such a loser.
Well, I feel like maybe, we want to get into these topics today, but I did kind of want to hone in on you and Jared's relationship. I think maybe the last time you just said like, I married my fuck buddy was like the quote you've used before. And now you have your second child on the way. But we recently did this episode about situationships and talking about how you can change your mind. You can go into something thinking it's casual and be like, I like you and I want to be more serious. And so we just wanted to discuss the relationship a little bit more. I've met him in person since last time we recorded with you. He is just everything. He's like has such a good energy. He's so strikingly beautiful. Like
Ashley came back and she was like, he's so hot.
I'm like, if there's one couple I could join. But yeah, like, can we just kind of talk about it? You don't have to give us the whole, long story of the relationship, but how it changed from fuck buddy to second child on the way.
Yes, I think it's really important that you don't look at being fuck buddies as a strategy to getting to where we are today.
Right.
But instead as these like isolated, insular relationships. Like I don't look at Jared and I's relationship like building blocks per se. It was just like almost blocks that we jumped from one to the next when it felt right. So I never got into it thinking this is a pathway to deeper intimacy, because my favorite quote is the key to happiness is managing expectations. And so when we got into the relationship, I genuinely was about to be deported from the country because I'm from Canada and my work visa was running up. I just come out of a toxic relationship, but I was in school for sexology. And when you're in a toxic relationship, oftentimes sex is one of the first things to go. I mean, your partner, if they're toxic, probably has sex with other people, which was the case for me, but we weren't having sex. So I was learning all these amazing things. And then when I got out of that relationship, I was okay, I'm not in a place mentally. I'm definitely not in a place in terms of stability to start anything meaningful with someone, but I definitely want to have great sex. I think my body is in a place where it's deserving and needing of pleasure. So I was literally auditioning dudes. Like I would just put on a Beyonce playlist, wear a sports bra and track pants, and invite a dude over and make out with him. And if I felt like there was an energy, then we would move forward. But the only person that I really felt that like really great, like, oh, we would be great sexual partners was Jared. And so I entered into that relationship knowing I just wanted it to be sex, but I also knew really other important things about myself. I know that I have a big ego. So that can get in the way of those kinds of relationships, because you can feel like, well, if we're having great sex and I'm an amazing person, shouldn't you want more? So I put all these protections in place to ensure that my ego wouldn't get in the way. I also put protections in place, knowing my neurochemicals that would be released, like oxytocin, to ensure that like I wouldn't get unnecessarily bonded to him. And then I put rules in place in terms of like what we would and wouldn't do to match the relationship and the goal of that relationship. And I think in doing that, that allowed me to enjoy him as a fuck buddy. And through that enjoyment, we got to a place where we're like, wait a second, we're really enjoying ourselves here on this block. Are there things that we could do on that block, which for us was friends with benefits because we didn't start off as friends? And then what would that look like? And then we reframed and restructured our relationship to meet those goals. So I was like really specific and strategic about it. And I always caution people because I'm like, it's not a story of like fuck buddies can work out in terms of working out to marriage. Instead, a fuck buddy can work out as that relationship if you really hyper focus on setting parameters and a specific goal within that. And then being honest with yourself, because if you can't do that anymore, it's either time to jump off that block or have a discussion with that person and be like, I want to move things forward. Where are you at?
Okay. Can we talk about what the parameters are before we move on to like the next block? Like when you were like, we're just going to be fuck buddies and I don't want to like release all these feelings that are going to make me feel closer to him. Like what boundaries did you put in place for you guys? First
and foremost, no sleepovers, because the highest doses of oxytocin are released in after sex cuddling.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So no sleepovers whatsoever, and no dates, no like going out. We would just like get together, vibe for a little bit. And then our sexual energy was so high anyways, we would have sex, sometimes have sex twice, and then he would leave afterwards. For my ego, the best thing that I did is I never initiated contact with him, ever, ever, ever. But I did like, positive reinforcement. If he messaged me, I would message back right away. But I didn't want to get into that like slot machine game where I would send a text and then not hear from him for hours and then get excited towards, getting his call or feel like, did something go wrong? Did I mess up? Was I not good in bed last night? So I just knew myself and I'm like, I work better when I can be relaxed. And so when he reaches out, I'll respond. But other than that, I don't want to put myself on the line in that position. That worked out great for me. I also gave him his own ringtone, so I wouldn't get into that like cycle of every time my phone went off, I was like looking to see if that was my fuck buddy or looking to see that. I would always just know, okay, cool. Like, he's messaging me now. This is my best tip. I had a cuddle buddy while I had a fuck buddy. So sometimes I would genuinely
piecemeal it together.
You do, girl. Listen, I had a dude who I was going to museums with that I never made out with or did anything with. Like I really had, because I was aware of like what I needed out of intimacy, but I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. But I would genuinely finish having sex with Jared. And then I would drive him home and then drive to my cuddle buddy's house. So having these compartments,
cuddle and museum buddy. I like
people say that. No.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said that poor guy.
Oh no! I mean, if he was
My time is valuable. Yeah, I mean,
he got to
that
go to the
guy
museum with Shan. I would love to go to
No,
the
he
museum with
was
Shan.
different than a
Shan, I'd
museum
cuddle
guy.
with you.
Yeah, I'd love to be
Wait,
Shan.
I have one more question. Did you have a parameter of whose house you had sex with at? Did you only do it at your house? You could kick somebody out.
Yes.
Versa?
Yes. 99% of the time. I think we only started going to his house much later in the relationship. It was
You made him
usually-
upgrade it, get new bedding and all that. I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm just assuming your house
It
was
wasn't up to
nicer.
par. I mean, no, I really did a great job. And like, yeah. And I also made the goal of our relationship. So the way that I was able to like, get that part of myself off is like, I made the goal great sex and that was it. So I always look for ways to like increase the intimacy, like old version of me and your guys' blowjob gel. I would have been like, I need that tonight because I got to keep, getting better at this. So yeah, I feel like, again, creating like a structure that was really suited to the goal of that relationship was awesome. And then being honest with that person and with myself.
I think that this is so brilliant because I sometimes get a little too close with people and then I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even want this because I have long conversations with them or I'll stick around and like cuddle or they'll sleep over and I'll wake up like holding on to the person and it breeds an intimacy that like maybe the relationship isn't even ready for. So I think it's great advice.
I mean, it's such incredible advice. The thing that people do wrong is look at relationships too romantically. They do, things they don't want to talk about. You say the word strategic. That's not a sexy word.
Right.
Building blocks. That's not sexy. But relationships are conversations and communication, and they take work and they take being really honest with yourself. And so I'm sure so many people go into like yeah, we're fuck buddies. But, like ultimately, if you were really honest with yourself, the goal is that they will fall in love with you and you would want more, So I don't know that we're A, always honest with ourselves and B, honest with the other person and having these relationships that are quote unquote unsexy. So the way that you talk about this is like so important for reframing these things because there's just a lot of people that are doing it wrong, maybe ourselves included at points in our lives. So I think it's so important. I
feel like bare minimum when I think about relationships, whether it be marriage or a fuck buddy, I'm like, what do I do to make sure that I like myself within this? Like, what do I have to do to make sure that I'm the coolest, most relaxed, sexiest, happiest version of me? One, because then the other person benefits from that. And then two, because I actually enjoy the relationship, which I should genuinely do. So when you have that top of mind, you're like, okay, let me be honest about who I am. And if this is the relationship structure that we both agreed on, what do I need to do and not do to ensure that I don't turn into the crazy version of myself who gets obsessive, who's depressed, and who starts becoming resentful? I mean, if that's the basis of it, then I think you don't have to use the word strategy, but I don't know. What's the word the kids like these days? Like mindful joyness, something, that feels less body. So you can you can joyfully be present within that dynamic.
So it was fuck buddies and you were like friends, you were hanging out in daylight hours and then it was open relationship and then it was pregnant, married. I don't know. Like,
technically that it was like, we started out as fuck buddies. We weren't friends. I remember the day that he invited me to come watch football because he was having a party at his house and I was like thrown off. And I called my friend. I was like, yo, my fuck buddy wants me to like go over for a party. And I was like, can you come? I'm like freaked out by it. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah. And then I went and it was really casual and cool. He didn't make it weird or, didn't try to push in any direction. I was like, oh, this is comfortable. And I actually enjoy who you hang around. And then it was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe we can do a couple of extra things together. And then little stuff like he lived walking distance from me, which is such a huge, I don't think if we didn't live walking distance at the beginning, we never would have been here to begin with because I just needed convenience. But I went away for a week. I was like, hey, you live close. You obviously come by a bit. Can you water my plants? I came back, my plants weren't dead. So I was like, oh, like you're actually somebody I can rely on. So it was like through these little moments of, oh, there's other things that we can share together. And it wasn't as if, and I always feel this with titles, like titles aren't things that you should aspirationally move towards. It's almost like a month after you've been existing in that space, you're like, we should probably call it this thing now. Like the title is the way to explain what you already existingly share with someone to other people versus this thing that you slap on something in order to try to move towards that goal. And I found that we did that a lot. So really and truly, we moved in together and then we were like, we should stop being like friends with benefits. There's something else obviously going on here. We should call it something else, but we also enjoyed the freedom that we got through that dynamics. That's where the title open relationship came. And again, it was only like, oh, like we should explain to our parents that we're more than just like roommates.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you started? I know we covered this a little bit. I mean, it was years ago, so it doesn't matter if it's a little repetitive, but like when you started to come around to the idea of an open relationship, did you always grow up with this like really open idea of sex and monogamy and non-monogamy? Or did he introduce this concept to you? Like, how did you start to think about this?
The real truth is that I think it was something that was always a part of me. And I remember like in my toxic previous relationship, I would often talk about like honesty. And, if you want to have experiences or I want to have experiences, we should be able to be honest, but it just never worked practically. One, he was a cheater, so he would always conceal and I would find out. And two, if ever I showed any type of openness to somebody else, he would get really mad and territorial. So I was like, okay, I had this like thought process that there could be this kind of dynamic. I didn't know what to call it back then, but in essence with Jared, we moved in together. And then I had someone from my past that I'm sure do you guys have the kind of person where you had a short period of time with them that was just so magical and then things didn't work out and you always had that what if?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it today.
I love it. So I had that person for me. And then kind of coincidentally, I've always had this what if, and even through my toxic relationship, I'd always think about this person as if I probably like idolized and amplified them because what I was going through was so rough. That guy came around as soon as me and Jared moved back in. And I was like, I got to be honest with you. I have to see where this goes because if I don't, I'm going to have this huge what if for the rest of my life. So I need some space to date this person. Like, how do you feel? And again, this is like 2016, 2015-ish. So that word wasn't as popularized as it was today. So we found that title and like, okay, I think this fits what we have because these are the things that we want to give each other if that person requests that space or requests that opportunity to explore that what if.
Got it.
Do
Yeah.
you have that person in your life? Do you have like a...
Yeah. I'm like, why am I blank? I feel like I've said those exact words before. Like this is the person I always like wondered about.
You know who I think your person is when you first moved to New York and you weren't really ready to date and you met that guy that you thought was really great and you just weren't in a place.
Yeah, I have a guy that like, I mean, he's kind of, I don't know. It's like I met this like pretty perfect guy. We went on a couple really fun dates and I just wasn't over my ex and it was just not the right time. And like my friends, like my guy friends met him and we're like, what the fuck are you thinking? This guy's like amazing. So yeah, I mean,
Where is he now?
I think he might be married. I don't know. He's like not really heavy on social media. And I had so many years ago where I dated this guy briefly, broke up with him for another guy, but always wondered. And then we reconnected and I like went to visit him in Chicago and it didn't work out. So I think you always have to like scratch the itch if you can.
Absolutely.
If it's okay with everybody,
100% agree.
Like cheating on their spouse or something,
And then to your point, like years later, when you actually follow that path and you're like, oh, this is why it didn't work out. And there was actually pieces of this in the dynamic that, through intimate idealization, which your brain naturally does because it wants you to bond. I like overlooked or forgot about those. But years later, like with that guy, we started, dating again and we reconnected. And I was like, oh, we didn't like get torn apart by some like dark cosmic force that stopped us from loving. We just like weren't compatible, but we probably didn't know how to say that at the time. And it kind of fell apart awkwardly. But years later, I was like, oh yeah, this is why this never would have worked. And I'm so grateful that I got that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. I think we like spend all this time away from a person and then we idealize what this was. And it's funny, this person that I was talking about, I connected with him. I thought he was like the best thing in the fucking world. And we did not sleep together or hook up at the time. He did some stuff I didn't love. And then a year and a half later, we were connected and we went on a date. And Ashley the next morning was like, was it so fun? Was it so great? And I was like, it was fine. And it was good. And she was like, you don't sound like you're so excited. And in my mind, I was like, cause he did the same shit last night that he did a year and a half ago. And I'm realizing this is a pattern and I don't like it.
Yeah. What was it?
I thought that he came on like really like full court press about how incredible I am and amazing. And I'm this incredible person. He thinks we have this unbelievable connection and then disappears.
A love bomber.
And
it is kind of love bomby.
It's kind of love bomby.
Yeah.
And so like this thing I wanted to talk about today is just having sex on a first date. And this kind of ties into it because him and I did sleep together when we finally went on our first date, which was recently in LA. And yeah, the night we went out, it was like very love bomby. And it felt genuine. It felt very much, I don't think he was saying things to try to get me to sleep with him. It didn't feel like that at all. And I think I'm a little sharper than that. But yeah, we were like in my hotel and he was like, you're the person. person. You're the person. Like I haven't enjoyed anybody this much, whatever. I probably talked about this on the podcast, so I'm not going to get into it too deeply, but we slept together and I woke up the next morning and he was like cuddled up to me like so tightly. He was holding my hand like in the cuddle and it felt very overly familiar. And then I didn't hear from him for a day and a half. And I really didn't like it. It felt really fucking bad. And I think a lot about what somebody owes you. And, you know, did you reach out? Because they didn't reach out. Like he didn't reach out to me. I didn't reach out either. So I think, you know, did he mirror my behavior? But if you sleep with somebody and they don't contact you for a day and a half, if you don't like it, you're allowed to not like it. I didn't like it. I fucking hated it. It really turned me off. It made me feel bad. And that was kind of that.
Did you communicate that?
I did. I went out with him one more time. He had sort of made up an excuse for why I hadn't heard from him. I thought, sure, whatever, we'll go out one more time. We went to dinner and we did not hook up that night. And we just sort of deaded it. And I said it felt really bad. And I didn't really love hearing all this stuff and then sleeping with you and then hearing from you. And I think he digested it and we didn't hook up that night. And that was sort of that.
That's good to know. I mean, at least like you set the boundary. I think that's always a huge thing because sometimes we don't give the person the benefit of that dialogue, which I always go to this place of like, I can either argue with you in my head and be stressed, or I can tell you how I feel. And then now you can share in the stress. And then what you do with that will be like very illuminating to me. I remember when I started with Jared, one day, you know, when we were fuck buddies, he messaged me in the morning, was like, I'm off work today. Do you want to hang out? And I was like, yeah, for sure. You know, I responded back really quick because Pavlov response, want to make sure that he, you know, gets conditioned response. Like this is positive. And then he didn't respond back for hours. And then he responded, he's like, I took a nap. I woke up. So when are you free? And then I responded, then he was like hours later. And I was like, listen, buddy, I don't ever want to fucking do this. Like if you're not in a place where you can finish a conversation with me, do not start one. I am not interested in these day-long chats. So, and if you can't hang out, trust me, I'm not pressed and I'll move on with my day, but don't ever do that again. And he was like taken aback by it because like, this is so early. Why are you like being so aggressive? But sure enough, he never did it again. So the fact that you set the boundary and you were really clear and then that guy was put off by that is probably a good indicator. But I'm really happy you did because a lot of people would just be like, well, I'm going to mentally make up a story in my head for what this person was thinking versus realizing that some people just don't think or think the same as us.
I mean, what you just said is like what I have been dealing with. And I love that you even brought that up. We talked about this for months with me. I feel like I'm like, I got shit to do, you know,
yes.
like you just said, don't start it if you're going to disappear for the next couple of hours. Like I'm trying to plan my life, you know, like if it's just a lack of interest, but clearly that wasn't what the case was with Jared.
Bad habits.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people have those bad texting habits where they're like, oh, this is normal way to communicate. Maybe with other people. Like, do you want me to be nutty in this relationship or do you want me to be bitter when we hang out because I wasted my entire day waiting on you? No, you want me to be fun and relaxed. And to get that version of me, here's what I require from you. And I don't think I'm asking a lot.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that we say this all the time. There's tons of ways to say those things without being like, you don't get to treat me like this. There's just a normal, calm way of being like, hey, I don't make plans with friends like this. I don't make plans with family like this. I expect a response. I'm a busy person just like you. So just respect my time. And yeah, if you make me wait all day long, you make a plan with me, I am going to show up, but I'm going to be bitter. And I don't like that. I don't want that.
Or you're not going to show up. You're going to like, be like, well, no, now I'm too available. So now I'm going to not do it. And then you're going to start doing all this stuff without telling them. Like you said, you're going to spiral in your own head. But when you said that to him, did you say that in person when you met up or did you text that or did you call him on the phone?
I texted him.
Okay.
I think I just texted back and that's how we were communicating. I think he actually didn't respond to me for a couple of days.
Oh,
I can't really remember, but like, I think, yeah, there was a couple of times in our relationship. And again, going back to that rule that I had of like, I just didn't reach out first. Or I just gave the space that he needed to like process things. And then I saw where it landed from it. But I always felt good knowing that like, at least it ended because I advocated for myself. Like that's always the best end to any relationship. Like, oh, like I was clear about what I needed and the other person wasn't able to meet those needs. So like, where could we have gone anyways?
Right. What's the alternative? Is that you say nothing and you're mad or you're bitter or you're in a scenario that you don't want to be in? If somebody doesn't talk to me ever again because I communicated something I wanted, that's okay. Like I'm not, I'm not so bitter about it. It's just like, that's not a boundary you wanted to respect. No hard feelings, but you can't date me.
And Ashley brought up a great point because there is a very big difference between being like, I need to be clear with you. Are you listening, sweetie? And being like, hi, like I totally get that you've got a busy day. I respect that. But just know if you are flustered and you're busy and you feel like you have to pause the world to send me a text, don't pause your world. Do your thing. And when you're actually sitting down, you've got space and time to finish a dialogue. That's when I want to hear from you. Other than that, I am totally fine not hearing from you for 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, whatever it takes.
Yeah, I really love that. And we did this whole episode on texting styles. Not everybody's the same. It doesn't mean you have to rapid fire for hours back with somebody. But like when you said that, I like felt that in my heart of like hitting somebody up, you respond right away. Then there's hours. It's like, what? And like Rayna said, like, I don't do this with my friends. I don't do this with my family. It feels manipulative even when it's not, like he wasn't trying to manipulate you and be like, let me leave her wanting more and go disappear for 3 hours. It was just like, whatever it was. Okay. We can drop this. I could talk about this forever.
No, I could talk about it forever too. It doesn't feel good. And I like that you call like the Pavlov's response. I know what you're talking about. I just want it the right thing. I do that when I like a guy, I do like to respond right away. I want it to feel intentional. I want them to feel like they have my attention, and I'd like the behavior mirrored as well. And it's okay if it's throughout the day and you're busy and you're working. Plenty of my friends don't hear from me all day long either. And I wake up to, I get 85 group texts and I don't respond to any of them, but I want somebody to act like I'm a priority. And if I can't be, like, that's fine, but I don't want to spend my day feeling like shit because you have made me not a priority.
Yeah, but and then you respond and then they leave you hanging. You're like,
I hate it.
They got me. Like, why are they doing this? And I feel stupid.
Do you know what's actually a really fascinating aha though? And I love this about the work that I'm doing, like my podcast in particular, because I have all these clips that go out, but there are so many people who have messaged me and been like, I didn't know that I was gaslighting people, but I do intentionally do this. So sometimes we think that people are innocently doing these behaviors like love bombing without realizing it. No, some people are very aware that they are doing this to get a certain response or outcome out of someone else. And so that's been an aha for me too, because I think as good intentioned people in dating where it's like, I don't want to make someone have a shitty experience by getting to know me. We wouldn't think to like utilize these tactics, because even though I use strategy, again, my intent for using strategy is to put myself in a position to be more enjoyable for me and thus enjoy myself. I mean, give that person more enjoyment. It's never to like, oh yeah, like I want to get this thing out of this person and give the least so I can get the most. But there are people who that's their strategy. And so I think being open to that reality is also really helpful, because I know people who are like, I gaslight on purpose. I didn't know it was called that, but like I definitely do that to get out of scenarios where I'm in the wrong and I don't want to apologize.
Do you find that is more of like a male behavior, a female behavior, both? Like who's telling you I acknowledge I do this on purpose?
Well, I have like one particular person in my life, who works for us as like in a production stance, and they're younger and very toxic. And so I always hear from that particular person. It's a guy who's just like, like I do this or I do that or I lie or like, and so I'm like, oh, this is really fascinating, because in my mind, you're not like really intentionally trying to like harm people, but there are some people who do. Like I literally asked this dude, I'm like, why pop up around Christmas? Like, why do that to somebody? He's like, oh, I like gifts. Like these very simple responses.
Okay. That is fucking toxic.
Yeah.
He works for Shan. He's going to listen to this. He's going to be like, God damn it.
He knows. He knows. He's like my prime example of like, wow, it's so healing to my 20-year-old self too sometimes, because I dated people like that. Mm-hmm. And then I used to make up all these elaborate stories for why they behaved in certain ways. And then I'm like, oh, it's really as simple as like, you just wanted a gift. That's helpful and healing to know. Anyways, we're getting off topic. All that to say, I just wanted to note that like that guy that you are talking about, Rayna, like really might intentionally be using this as a strategy that's been effective for him in the past to get, maximum investment out of women with input or minimum input only when he's in person with them. So it's good for you to have called that out. And I'm happy that you're like making a decision. Now he can come back around and change your mind, but kind of to your point about being able to change your mind, that's his responsibility now.
But also, I mean, like, let's just take the example of waiting hours to text somebody back. Like that can be purposeful too. And that could be, I don't want him or her to get attached. I'm going to do this on purpose. You calling that out, if Jared had been doing that to just make sure he was keeping you at arm's length, then you're call out and setting that boundary probably would have had him being like, all right, no more of this. I can't play her like this. And she sees what I'm doing. Like a lot of it's just like, hey, I see you. I see that you started a conversation and then didn't respond to me for 3 hours and I don't really like it. So you almost give a person that opportunity to check themselves. Am I doing this on purpose? Or was this just me being lazy or not paying attention? Because I think that so many people, men and women, do that on purpose.
I
Like
think
they
this
saw
guy-
your text. They could have responded. They made you wait because they don't want to give you any
Hope.
the wrong
Or-
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that guy didn't respond to me the next day on purpose. I think he did that on purpose completely. I don't think he's a bad guy. I know exactly what happened. I think he woke up in the morning and was like, holy
I did
shit.
too much.
I said so much stuff to her last night. I said stuff to her that makes this girl think that I am in love with her, want to be with her. We're going to start dating immediately. And I need to reel this shit back in. And I think that, yes, I didn't text him either, but like I was talking to some of our other guy friends that day and I was like, am I crazy to think I should get like this was fun, I enjoyed seeing you text? And they're like, yeah, we all know that you want the text. Like every person alive knows that like you were inside of a woman last night. You should say last night was a nice time. Thanks for, thanks for coming. And it felt very like, I was like, if I don't hear from him by 5, no big deal. 7, by 8 o'clock, I was like, oh, I'm not going to hear from this person. The workday's over. He knows that he was with me. It feels on fucking purpose. And no one is too busy for 24 hours to say I had a good time last night. And I think he did it on purpose. And I think he served me up a decent enough excuse the next day that I wouldn't be really angry about it. And again, it just is what it is. It felt on purpose. And I read the room and I just felt like, I'll give this one more shot for one night. And it didn't work out. So it's fine.
Mhm.
I agree with you. I think a lot of times people are doing this to send a message.
Yeah. Or to get a certain desired outcome of you.
Yeah.
Because the unfortunate truth is, a lot of people prioritize getting what they want versus getting the best out of someone in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't ride with that because I never want to get from somebody at the cost of their self-esteem or their sanity. But when you watch those Netflix documentaries, like there's some evil motherfuckers out there.
Oh my God.
And evil's the wrong term, but there are people who go about getting the things that we all want: love, adoration, attention, money, in ways that are deliberately harmful to other individuals, and they feel no remorse about it. And so I think as a dater, you have to be aware that those people exist. Yes, there's people with reasonable excuses. There are people who kind of serendipitously come across these manipulative tactics and don't really know what they're doing or why, but there are people who are intentional, and you need to be able to address that and name it.
This wasn't even on our topic list at all, but here we are. I'm so glad we talked about all this stuff. Okay. So we wanted to talk to you about sex today. I mean, we loved something that there was a video that you had posted about sexual slumps. And I think the question, it might've been with Rachel Lindsay. I don't remember, but just can you still have intimacy when you aren't having sexual intimacy?
You guys had Rachel on the podcast, right?
Yes, we loved her.
We loved her.
Yes, I listened to that podcast. It's amazing. Rachel's incredible. And again, so how my podcast works, I said to Ashley, I always use the example of how we came up with the topic. Ashley was like, yeah, so like I'm dating dudes and we're in a fine time. We get to this place where it feels like I should fuck them, but I don't want to. And I'm like, that's what we're talking about. And so with Rachel, I was like, what's important to you right now? And she's like, I'm like really satisfied in my career. I'm really satisfied with my relationship. And I really don't care about having sex or being good at sex right now. And I was like, that's fascinating. And we called that episode like Boss in the Streets and Currently Meh in the Sheets. And that's okay to be in that place, right? And I'm in that place right now. I am currently really meh in the sheets. And there's a big difference. So there's HSDD, which is a diagnosable disorder, which is hypoactive sexual desire disorder, which is characterized by frustrating low sex drive. And that is when you genuinely want to have sex and you want to be intimate, but you just don't have the go or the drive to do it. And that could be something that is neurochemical, and that could be something you could talk about with your doctor. But what about if you have low sex drive that's not frustrating, just a fact of life for you, and like you really actually don't care to change it? Like we all go through those periods of time when working out where we're like, I'm not in the mood to work out and I'm not mad at myself. Because that can exist too in healthy relationships. So not every sexual slump is like, pause the role. It's the end of the line. We got to do something and we got to troubleshoot. Sometimes it's like, I'm embracing this season, just like I would embrace a season of high sex drive where we're having incredible sex every night. I'm like embracing the fact that I don't want to have sex, and I'm working with my partner in ways to acknowledge their reality, but I'm not interested in changing mine right now.
For sure. And I'm glad that you differentiated between I've certainly been in long-term relationships where we were crazy sexual in the beginning and towards the end we weren't. It's because there was a problem with the relationship. But this sounds like it's different. It's more of a you thing. And I've said to Ashley, for example, like we've launched this new company now, and I can't imagine.
Throw the confetti.
Every day I walk home from our studio and like, I feel like Ashley and I have worked so hard. Our team has worked so hard. I'm so proud of it. But like, if I had to go home and like give to another person sexually, I couldn't do it. I walk home every day and think like I killed it today professionally. And if I had to like suck a dick right now, it would be the end of the world. I don't have it in me. I don't want to do it.
Exactly.
So what is with this? I mean, is the answer just like it comes and goes, you know, and then if you feel like your partner is very dissatisfied, maybe it's time to troubleshoot. Or I mean, what did you guys kind of land on with the discussion?
Yeah, I think first is acknowledging and naming it in yourself and being like, this is a season that I'm in. And secondly, and most importantly, it's immediately communicating that to your partner, because the worst thing you can do is leave those things unsaid and then allow that person's insecurities to fill in the blank, which can lead them to lash out or can lead them to feel very bad inwardly. And you don't want that because, again, often when you go through these slumps, sometimes it really isn't a reflection of things need to change within your partner. It might even be external factors like, you know, I'm pregnant or I'm really busy right now, or I'm going through a period of exhaustion, or maybe I'd struggle with anxiety. I mean, I personally don't, but I know people, you know, who go through those where it's like, right now, this is just not a priority for me. So having those awkward conversations, and, you know, in that episode with Rachel, I talked about last pregnancy, you know, Jared went through, you know, low sex drive in the relationship with me. And like, he talked about it with me. And it was a really uncomfortable conversation. It was very difficult for me not to take personally, but I'm so glad that we had it because essentially for like a couple of months leading up to it, you know, I noticed he wasn't initiating and I was like, what's going on and why? And like all these things were coming up. So when we just finally put it on the table, as scary as it was so healing for me and affirming to me. It was like a gut check in the moment, but like long-term, it benefited me. And I was kind of talking about this in terms of specifically men who struggle with erectile dysfunction. They often do this where they pull away from their partner and it has nothing to do with like desirability, has nothing to do with the health of the relationship. It's a personal thing that they're going through and trying to troubleshoot. But because they're embarrassed about it, they don't say anything. And then the other person, you know, takes on the burden of that and feels like it's something they're doing wrong, where that could just be cured just by being like vulnerable and honest about where you're at. But again, if it's frustrating to you, that's when you guys should troubleshoot together or again, go to a doctor to seek, you know, medical attention.
Right. Was the thing with Jared, and you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, was it just him kind of going through a slump?
It was kind of like a personal slump of like that, but also like, I'm not into pregnancy sex, you know, I'm not into it, I'm not turned on by it, just like not my thing. And then he brought up a good point. He was like, you know, because I think when you're pregnant too, like you're experiencing so much that people can experience outwardly. So he brought up an example of a time we were like in the shower, like things were getting popping. And I was like, oh, the baby's moving, like feel it. And then he was like, oh my, that just took me out. But it's a fact of life for me. You know what I mean? Like I can't, it's just my body's doing a thing. I'm like, oh, you know, I want to bring him in on it. And I was like, okay, I had to like understand that this part of my like existence, and it was hard for him to put the two together. Interestingly enough, pregnancy too, he's completely gotten over that. And now I have no drive at all. So now we're mismatched.
now he is a pregnancy fetish and you don't want to.
Yeah. He was like, I kind of feel like this is like a little bit of spite. I'm like, trust me, it's not. I don't have the energy to be spiteful.
That's so funny.
My spite is tired.
So can we talk about like if your libidos are mismatched at this point, pregnant or not, like what do you do?
If it's frustrating, you troubleshoot. So if it's something that you want to fix, if it's not frustrating, you communicate where you're at and what you're willing to do. And you ask your partner if that would suffice for them. And if it is, great, you know, make a commitment to do that thing. For me, that was like hand jobs. I was like, I really can just I could reach over and offer you this, or I'll buy you a sex toy, but I'm not like, I love giving head during pregnancy because I'm like, let me stay in one position and rest my forehead against something. That's my idea of a great time, not move. I really don't enjoy sex because like the movement is really difficult for me. So I'm honest about that. I'm like, here's where I can compromise, like, you know, meet your needs and ensure we're still, because I enjoy being intimate with you. I also enjoy orgasming. So I like being on my back, receiving pleasure without somebody rubbing up against my stomach. So that means oral. But nonetheless, I mean, like come up with a strategy that works for you guys, given like kind of the time. And then also addressing that I acknowledge that this is not going to be forever. Like, just give me this season right now. And that's what Rachel was saying too. Like, my book is coming out. I'm already birthing something into this world. Like, I'm putting my energy. You guys have an entire business that's launching. I'm sure the energy that you used to feel sexually is being redirected in another place, which the world will benefit from when they get your amazing products, like that you've been fucking your business for the past few months.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's kind of like that of like, setting a timed goal. If it is frustrating for you, I would say like my best tip when you come to differing sex drives isn't to add more, but to take away. So putting more restrictions on how much you guys can be intimate and when you can be intimate so you can create scarcity. Because I think what happens and what tended to happen in the pandemic when there was like an overabundance of opportunities and there was no mystery and it was always available to you, you just kind of lost that desire because it's the risk and reward center of the brain that gets our libido kicking. It's that unknown. And if I know what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, how you're going to react, it's just not as easy to get excited. So putting up more restrictions of like, we can't touch, we can't make out, I don't want to see you these days, I don't want to do the one thing with you, I'm going to do this thing separately. Like creating more space often can actually give the space for that fire to reignite.
Yeah, miss each other a little or just have some.
Exactly.
Something. I mean, I really love that you guys had that conversation. I think that some men might be a little scared to be like, I am not into the pregnancy thing. And it sounds harsh, and I'm sure you felt it in some kind of way. And obviously it wasn't that like, he didn't want this baby or he doesn't find you beautiful, but I love that you.
Two things which I immediately thought.
Right. But I love that you were honest about that. I think that maybe some men have felt that and were too scared to vocalize it. Or, I mean, it's such a sign of a healthy relationship. I love that you shared that with us and that you guys talked about that amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing. You guys probably can attest to this is like being open to having those honest conversations that so many people crave is not all pleasantries and upsides. It means being open and curious to things that could hurt your ego or things that you actually don't want to hear. But I made it so, made my best attempt, like not let my face show like that I was hurt or personalizing it because the last thing I want to do is discourage his truth because it's the unknown that's actually so much shittier.
Your excuse, your reasons in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, it's kind of, I feel like Rayna and I have been fights and not saying you guys were to fight, but some conflict is happening because we're in a relationship of all different types, business partners, best friends, we're like familial essentially, but like where until you hash it out, you have something totally in your head. And when they tell you, you're like, oh, it was that. Like I didn't even, I wasn't even thinking that. And I don't know if that's better or worse, but at least I know now because I had a whole different narrative in my head.
Yep. And I was troubleshooting in a different direction, or I was focused on something totally different, or I was missing an opportunity to better myself and better this relationship. So yeah, the known is always better, but it oftentimes is not always like best case scenario. I had this podcast coming out with Headspace and we were talking about growth in the relationship and they kept trying to frame it like on the other side of growth, it's always positive. It's always better. I'm like, no, sometimes it sucks, but at least that's the reality that I could get to actually like realize and deal with. So on the other side of that scary isn't always like, oh, it was actually just a beautiful butterfly all along. It was never a man with a knife. Sometimes it's a dude with a knife, but at least now run, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that like, these are the scariest conversations for me, obviously. And yeah, the other side of it isn't always great. And sometimes I learn something about myself that I'm like, I didn't know I did that. And I hate that. And I hate that you view me like that. And I hate that in this relationship, I am this to you. And it doesn't always feel good, but I've said this on the show before and a lot with friendship relationships. I'm never upset that I had the conversation. Even if I learn something about myself that I fucking hate about myself, or I see the lens through which another person sees me. And it's usually either Ashley or a romantic partner, because those are the people I'm going to be closest and most intimate with. I'm never upset that I had those conversations. And I learn these things I don't necessarily like about myself, but at least I know it, right? At least I know how I affect people in the world now and how I am viewed by others. And it helps me to be a better person.
Or decide if you want to do anything with information or be like, man, the way that I naturally exist doesn't work with you. So
right. Or that. Out. And also just because somebody says something doesn't make it true. Just someone views you a certain way. You're like, I don't really think that's accurate. I don't think this is going to work anymore.
Or it is accurate. I remember one of my exes was screaming at me, all you do is fucking talk shit. And I was like, talking shit is so fun.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
He was like, you fucking do this. And I was like, oh yeah, well, it's the best. So I'm never changing.
Yeah. Someone
And it's
like
a skill.
insults you. Yeah, exactly. Someone insults you and you're like, you're right. What, you don't like it? That's who I am. There's the door.
That is so funny. One time he was like, all you do is just pepper people with questions about them and what they're like and what their life is like. And then you offer nothing about yourself. And I was like, that sounds amazing.
Right.
I sound incredible.
Yeah.
I would love to come across me and date me.
Right?
Yeah. You're just going to talk about yourself all the time. That's my dream. I guess we can just kind of wrap. We can,
You know what we should do?
what?
Wait, hold on, Shan. We're going to have a meeting.
Okay.
Oh, I love that idea. Okay, great.
New segment before we let you go.
New segment.
New first time segment alert. In honor of the new Vibes Only company, we've just talked a lot about like self-pleasure and masturbation. So do you have any self-pleasure and masturbation tips, and maybe even for pregnancy?
Absolutely. I've actually become really good at masturbation as like just a function of wellness in life.
Yes.
Not necessarily like this thing that I like crave doing, something that I invite because I'm like, I should do. And so that in mind, I've been trying to get my brain excited about it, which has been a great thing for me because I'm like, I've been masturbating the exact same way for a very long time. And I get why I've gotten bored of it. So first and foremost, the same way that if you had sex every single time to the same playlist in the same position with the exact same partner, same lighting setup, like your brain would get bored. And I always say this about the human brain is that the brain likes new, but it's like a basic new. So I think when some people think about spicing up their sex life or spicing up the routine, they're like, oh, I got to go to Cancun and I got to find a worker who would be willing to join me in my, no, you can just go to the other side of the bed. You can change the light. You can get a projector. You can go in front of the mirror. So when it comes to masturbation, do the same thing for yourself, these small changes, and also broadening out what masturbation looks like for you. So rather than just being genital focused, it can be genital plus, or it can be others. So like buying a toy that's specific for your nipples and specific for your clit. A lot of people have never done butt play before themselves. You think of it as like, this is a kink that I roll out like a red carpet for that special person. No, like there's a lot of joy you can get from getting a sense of fullness. So like butt plugs or butt beads that you can utilize on your own while you're masturbating. That's an incredible way as well. Thinking about other erogenous zones. So if you really get off from maybe your head being massaged, like, one of those like head massagers, do that while you're actually using your favorite clitoral
Even at the
stimulator.
salon, when they're like shampooing your hair, if the shampooer is like the nails, I'm like, never stop.
The Ashley one would
be
good for that.
Yeah.
Texture.
But exactly that, just like thinking about multiple satisfaction when it comes to masturbation, thinking about multiple erogenous zones and how you can get tools that can hit two spots at once to like create an excitement within yourself. And then also to expand your pleasure potential, which ultimately will make you a better lover and also bring more possibilities to the bedroom when it comes to pleasing someone else and telling someone else how to please you.
I love that you brought up doing butt stuff on your own, because I think that it can seem scary if you've never done anything with a partner, and it might seem a little embarrassing to do it on your own too. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's my story, but that might be someone's story. And I think that a lot of this can have like shame and embarrassment surrounding it, which there shouldn't be, but that's such a good call of like, why not see how it feels in your body alone before even bringing a partner into it? And then you've had some practice with stuff going up there or around there in the first place. And it's not just this like scary thing where you want to try butt stuff with your partner. And it's funny because one of the toys that we have, it's a curve. And so it's a clit sucker, for lack of a better word, air pulse suction vibe on one end, and there's a vibrator on the other end. So you can turn it, you can bend it, and then it can be inserted. But I do it where like, I don't put it in my butt, but it's touching my butt because I like a sensation back there. And it's just funny because Rayna's not so much into stuff on her butt, but I am. So I've kind of figured out how to use this toy to even and this, we're not trying to bring you on here to help to plug the line, but I just we wanted to hear
pun intended, bitch.
Yes. But I love that you said that all of that stuff of like mixing it up.
And try that vibrator that you guys have, the suction air pulse on your nipple. If you don't have a second toy for clitoral, you can use your hand. But
Wait,
yeah,
it will. That'll like, cause it has to grab it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's like a light kiss.
Wait, I'm obsessed with that. Shan is our new product development manager. Is it bad that I've never thought of that? Of course you can stick your nipple in
Yeah, you
there.
stick your nipple in. Well, when she was talking about it, I was thinking about it. And if you want to see if you're into butt stuff, I don't think it's weird at all because I've never been into butt stuff, but I was like, maybe there's something I'm missing because my partner can't do it the right way. Let me see if I can do it on me the right way. So like I've used like a tiny little vibrator on my like taint, my butthole to see if I like it. I don't like it. I don't want it. Even I can't.
Right. You like
Even I
tested it.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even alone, you don't
Not for
want it.
me.
Mhm.
Well, those
I want to be the annoying person who's like, but have you tried butt beads? But it's a long
try
life too.
anything.
That's
Life
also
is
a really
long.
big point too. I think life is long and you don't have to pressure yourself to do all these things and try all this stuff in one. If for you, you're finding a lot of joy and stimulation out of the same playlist, the same position, the same technique for masturbation, keep doing that. It's when you get to a place where you don't feel as motivated or you're like, I should probably pull out the vibrator. It's been a while. That's when you're like, okay, how can I bring excitement and joy back into this space? Because that's going to massively impact my experience here. And then also, again, make me a better lover overall. So that's the only time. But if you're liking what you're doing, keep doing that.
We always tell women and all of our listeners to like live a life you're proud of that's full and you have hobbies and interests and you're doing stuff. You're not sitting around waiting for someone to text you back. So it's like, if you're like, I'm just kind of lacking stuff to do, like try anal beads, like if you're like, I just feel like I don't have enough hobbies or I don't really love yoga or like, I'm not doing this stuff. And I feel like my life, I don't have enough going on. I'm sitting by the phone. It's like, there's so much you could be doing to feel pleasure in your body. Like get into it.
Uh-huh.
So anyway.
Yeah, that's a great bumper sticker, by the way. If you
you're bored,
can't
use-
figure out what to
use anal
do,
beads.
try anal beads.
We'll make a bumper sticker.
That'll be our fall line.
When we move
Put
to
it
LA
on
and
my
have,
tank top.
cars. Yeah, we're making Shan a custom tank top. We got the slogan. Well, Shan, this was incredible. We love having you again. The conversation just flows and you're just one of our favorite guests and you have so much to say. We love talking to you.
Yeah, we love you. Can you plug all your things? And I know you have a new show coming out. So
More with the
plug all
plug.
your holes, Shan. You gotta plug your holes while you plug other stuff that you're doing.
So get the beads out.
In the spirit of one butthole, I always just say this, you get one wish with people. My one wish is my podcast, Lovers and Friends. And there I plug my other things. So you could just go there. And then if you're inspired to go other places, but start with one, it's like today, start with one tip that you found practical and accessible to you. Start with one. Lovers and Friends, a podcast. Rayna, I'm going to get your ass on there. I'm going to say it the week that this comes out. This will come out too, if not the following week.
Okay.
I already have Ashley on there. We had the most fun on our talk. I loved that topic. I love the two of you. And like, let's get whiskey and go tanning and eat sushi.
Raw fish, yes.
We need some raw fish sometime.
For our
All right, we'll catch you between the next pregnancies.
Yeah. And we'll have you on when you're pregnant again. Thank you so much again. And we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
And of course, girlsgottaeatpodcast.com. Hit our website for everything, for tour dates, for merch. You can follow us on Instagram at Girls Gotta Eat Podcast and Vibes Only, Girls_Gotta Eat on Twitter. And I am Ash Hess on everything, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Rayna is Rayna.Greenberg. And I think that's it. And we'll see you next week.
Have a good week, guys.
Bye.